Star Wars is back on the big screen with The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Gangsters, war criminals. I'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
On May 22nd, feel the Force on the biggest screen possible.
The old protect the young, and the young protect the old. This is the way.
Buckle up.
Always wear your seatbelt.
The Mandalorian and Grogu. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters May 22nd. Get tickets now.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Hello and welcome to The Shift, the podcast that aims to tell the no-holds-barred truth about being a woman post-40. Created and hosted by me, writer and broadcaster Sam Baker. Now, there aren't many people I let make a repeat visit to The Shift. But sometimes a guest proves so popular that I have to make an exception. And that's the case with journalist and author Bryony Gordon. The first time Bryony came on, we talked mental health, alcoholism, and the gratitude she felt in reaching 40. A couple of years later, she was back, and it was all about perimenopause. Well, today, she's here, and we're talking about what happens when you hit that pinch point in midlife, where the people-pleasing hormone heads for the door. First and foremost a newspaper columnist, Bryony spent 20 years at the Telegraph and now writes a column for the Daily Mail. She's the author of 4 best-selling non-fiction books and has won awards for her mental health advocacy. In her debut novel, People Pleaser, we meet Olivia Greenwood, a woman in midlife who wakes up one morning and finds she's lost the ability to bend over backwards to keep everyone else happy. It made me want to punch the air and eat a donut. Or 2, or 3.
I just wanted to explore it, how much people-pleasing seeps into every area of our life.
Does.
And how we've also been taught by the patriarchy, like, to go, yeah, but it's for you, isn't it? It's for you. Well, it's only for me because you've told me that the way I'm going to be happy is by making you happy.
Bryony and I met up to talk about people-pleasing and spending the first 40 years of our lives trying to be someone else and the next 40 trying to be ourselves. We set the world to rights on man-pleasing, fat-shaming, mountjaro noise, fake eyelashes, wellness, work addiction, self-improvement, perfectionism, learning to be willing to do things other people don't like, mothering adolescents, not me, and star signs. Well, thank you for coming back on The Shift.
Oh my God, it's nice to do this. It's nice to do it like in person.
I know. We've done quite a few interviews before and they've always been from your bedroom.
Yeah.
And great as your bedroom is, it's just nice to do it in person.
Well, I had assumed when they put it in that it was going to be remote. And so it was a really nice surprise. And they were like, do you want to do it at your house or the offices? And I was like, let's not do it at my house because it's a tip.
That's all right. I like a tip.
No, I know. This is so middle class. The cleaner comes on a Thursday morning, so I thought there'd be like hoovering in the background.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, it's really funny when right at the beginning I did, and someone had to stop in the middle for a John Lewis delivery.
Yeah, sorry, someone's at the door. John Lewis. Yeah. What were they delivering? Were they delivering
a chair?
Yeah, like really, like an Eames chair?
Not quite, but not a million miles.
Something
of that it was. And you're the first person who I've let on 3 times.
Shut up! What an honour. Have you got a badge for me?
I haven't, but I should have, shouldn't I? Yeah. I completely failed on the badge front.
Oh, I'm so. That is, do you know what? That's genuinely really, thank you for allowing me to come back again.
No, because it's like every time we have a different conversation. And I feel like, the listeners have gone on your journey with you. You're kind of, because the first time we talked about alcoholism and mental health, and last time we talked about burnout and peri and that whole peri shit show when the symptoms that you don't know are the mental health symptoms and all of that. And this time, going to talk about people pleasing,
We are.
which is like, I don't think I hardly ever have a conversation on the shift that it doesn't come up. It's so interesting, isn't it?
I think it's at the heart of everything. Like, I can only speak for myself, but I think people pleasing is at the heart of all of the major problems that I've ever had in my life, from alcoholism to OCD to depression. It's all been about trying to find validation in myself from outside things and people, and not managing it. Because guess what?
Yeah.
That's not actually where you find true self-worth, right? But it's, trying to please others, the kind of fear that sort of the ripple effect fear of that is, for me, it's at the root of all problems I have, and still is to this day. You know, like, this is my first non-fiction adult. I did a YA book a while ago, but this is my first non-fiction, and it was like, I can't write. Sorry, this is my first fiction. Brain. I was like, I can't write a non-fiction book about people pleasing, because I like, when I write about something kind of mental health related in the non-fiction world, it's usually once I kind of moved through it, or I kind of understand it a bit more, and I've got to a place where I am.
It's kind of looking back.
I'm in recovery almost from it, right? It's like the biggest like battle of my life is people pleasing, and it still is. And I was like, well, I can't write a book that is like, I used to be a really terrible people pleaser, and now I am only pleasing myself, because it's not true. I still struggle with this shit every day. And so I almost needed to write a fiction book to almost like therapeutically imagine what it would be like if I was that person. Fantasy. I was like, I need to offer myself this tantalizing possibility of what it could be if I was a completely different person to the one I am.
Yeah, I think even that when you know, and you are like, like, I can't remember whether I wrote this down. I don't know whether it's in the book or whether it was just a thought, but that kind of first 40 years of your life pleasing other people and then pretending to be someone else, and then the next 40 years like trying to please yourself and get yourself back. And that even, it doesn't matter how much you know that, you still fall back into it, because there is no AA for people pleasing.
No.
There should be.
I think there's like, there is like Codependence Anonymous and things like that, which is, but I do think, I do definitely hold with that idea that spent the first 40 years of my life like ticking all the boxes that I was told, if you tick these boxes, Bryony, then everything's going to be good. So like, if you are, pretty and slim and have a nice boyfriend and have a baby and get this good job and tick, all of these things.
Yeah.
And I sort of
hit all the milestones that society tells us we have to.
And at different points in those 40 years, I ticked all of those boxes, and then I sort of unticked them as well, in terms of the like slim and the, like the presentable, but I ticked them all, and I was like, oh, but I'm not, this doesn't make me happy, and all of it was about conforming to this version of girlhood or womanhood that I had been told I had to be, which I see now was a sort of is the patriarchal sort of version, which is keep yourself small, be good.
Be a good girl. When do you think it started? Can you remember?
I mean,
your first people pleasy.
I couldn't give you like one instant, but I think it's the same for most of us. It's like, be a good girl, and don't cry, don't be silly, don't, all of that stuff that is a very kind of British way of parenting, and was for those of us who came of age in like, I think there's probably all the way up to the sort of 80s, 90s, noughties. So it was like, just behave, stay within the lines, and don't make a fuss, and don't be different, and don't all of those things, and make people happy. Your job is to make people happy. And I definitely felt that, because I know that when I was sad, when I was experiencing tough things, which I did in my, I had what I realise now is quite serious mental illness from quite a young age. But, like my parents, like they, there was no system set up to kind of deal with that. Arguably there still isn't, but it's much better now. It's not great, and it's
at least recognised.
It's at least there, however shoddy it might be. So what I saw was that I was difficult, and when I was unhappy and when I wasn't pleasing, it made other people unhappy, and I just didn't want that, Yeah, I think that for me, that's my own personal experience of it, but also just growing up, on a diet, literally a diet of culture that was like from the boardroom to the bedroom, please your man. And I'm like, what? So all of this stuff that at the time, I kind of guess I knew in my bones it was wrong, but it wasn't like, it's only now, I was thinking about that America's Next Top Model documentary that everyone is talking about now. And, it's all well and good with hindsight, but at the time there was no outrage about it. It wasn't, it was like, oh yeah, this is just what life is like. You got a gap in your teeth, you're ugly. You're a bit over, you're a size 10, you're fat. It was ridiculous looking back at like Renee Zellweger being shamed for, being called fat when she played Bridget Jones. And I look back at that objectively and I'm like, what the fuck?
But do you not think, I hate to pick on anyone, I'm going to, I feel like we've gone back to a point now where there are female celebrities who are vanishing before our eyes. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was like Demi Moore at the Gucci show. I mean, I think she's amazing, but she's like that big now. I'm holding up my little thumb for people, little finger even. I mean, she's tiny. I feel like we've gone back to the 90s in that lionization of really thinness.
Well, it's about, I guess it's, okay, so here's the thing, right? Rome was not built in a day, okay? And the notion that women should not take up space and should keep themselves small, literally physically, right, has been hardwired into us over, decades, millennia, right? So we made progress in the, I guess from sort of the from sort of 2015, 2016, we started to see that sort of plus size body positivity movement, But in the grand scheme of things, what you do see is when we make progress is that people push back against it,
Yeah, always.
I don't think things are as bad as they were because we know that they're bad, whereas at the time no one was saying this is bad, there was the kind of backlash against heroin chic or whatever, but that but
in a way that was more media manufactured backlash,
and again it was a backlash against women, and again and so I think resisting the pressure to look perfect and look good has never been harder, because there's all of this kind of stuff out there, isn't there, that you can inject into your body, various bits of your body. I can inject something into my chin, into my eyes, into my waist if I want my waist to get smaller, and all of that kind of stuff. And it is harder as a woman to kind of resist that, isn't it? We see that, for example, the marvellous Maggie Gyllenhaal, who is on red carpets at the moment because she's directed this movie, The Bride. She's getting rave reviews. But loads of people are going, oh my God, like on social media comments.
Yeah, because she's actually aged like a normal person.
Yeah, she looks like a 48-year-old woman, and I think we're losing track of that. So on the one hand...
Did you see that horrific comment where somebody said she looked like her face was melting? Because her face had, as your face does when you age, it just drops slightly and you get slight jowls.
Yeah.
It was like, and it had something like 4,000 likes. It's like, fuck off.
I know. And I think that it appalls me and it makes me really cross. And I feel like I just hate that thing where women's value is entirely seen in their physical, the aesthetic. It really fucks me off. I mean, it really... It makes me really angry and I get annoyed, and I like to, I don't know, do I like to look nice? I don't really care that much about it. I mean, I'm like, brush your hair, put some makeup on, whatever. Like, I like to wear fun things because they're fun. Like I'm, wearing leopard print or jeans or whatever. Yeah, it's hard. It is really hard. But I wanted to, that's kind of what I wanted to explore in this book, because the character, so Olivia Greenwood, who is she's literally my heroine, who wakes up one morning and finds she can't people please anymore. So she does this thing where she's like a lot of women in their 40s who she has like a minimal amount of Botox, like there's this kind of, and she has this exact makeup look, and she's always like looking to influencers for what she should be wearing to look, the kind of right amount of Boden, Zara, whatever. And she just wakes up one morning and is like, fuck that. And she starts eating what she wants. She starts wearing what she wants.
She's like fantasy Bryony.
She's like, I kind of think I am a bit like that. I do eat what I want, and I do. But that was one aspect that I don't suffer from in terms of people pleasing. But I know a lot of women do.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's interesting that I'm interrupting your flow. We'll go back to it. But I was thinking just now when you were saying this, when I think about people pleasing, I think about all the psychological stuff, the not wanting to see the look of displeasure on someone's face when you disappoint them, the not wanting to make anyone unhappy, the wanting to keep the peace, all of that, not wanting to get into trouble. But I hadn't actually thought about all the physical stuff as also being a flip side of people pleasing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course it is. Yeah,
of course
it is.
It's like me because I look lovely.
Yeah, I look how I'm supposed to look.
And I find it really interesting because arguably I've built up a following online because I don't filter things. I wobble my cellulite around while I'm running marathons in my pants.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm probably the only person I know who posts the worst picture. Go, that one,
the people who say they post the worst picture, but they don't.
But I really do. And but what I've noticed is that like, if I put up a post where I look just vaguely normal, like I've brushed my hair, I've got some makeup on because I did some telly or whatever, which was like yesterday, and I have a belt, I just got a belt that gives me
you've got belt today.
Yeah, people go, oh my God.
Hourglass Bryony.
And it gets way more likes than the stuff and they're like, where is that jeans, where are the top from? I'm like,
oh, I know.
But we're hardwired for this shit, right? We really are. And so I just also am like, let's go easy on ourselves. Like, I just wanted to explore it, how much people pleasing seeps into every area of our life, and how we've also been taught by the patriarchy, like, to go, yeah, but it's for you, isn't it? It's for you. Well, it's only for me because you've told me that the way I'm going to be happy is by making you happy.
Yes.
That's it. Like, that's why when I hear people like get endless plastic surgery or make themselves small, it's like, this is my personal thing. I feel better looking like this or at this weight. It's like, why do you think you feel better? Because people aren't fucking trolling you and calling you awful things. But that doesn't, and like, so I understand it. I totally get it. But the reason we all feel better, as a wrinkle-free, slim version, is because it's more acceptable.
Yeah, because we're more pleasing to other people.
Yeah, but like, fuck being pleasing to other people.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, you be polite, be nice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't be an asshole just for the sake of it. Limiting your life, finances, because all of this stuff costs money, right? Yeah,
well, it's like a mega billion-dollar industry, isn't it, to keep us in pursuit of
I'm like, is my husband injecting things into his face? No, I don't think he is. Is he? I mean, look, if he wants to, that's fine. But like, that's the kind of thing that I like. Is he spending money on this shit?
Yeah,
because I'm not going to.
So have you been tempted by any of it? Because you and I, around about the same time, both wrote a piece about mountjaro noise.
Yeah.
About that kind of how just the existence of that stuff is really like, I thought I had pushed that. For me personally, I thought I pushed that away, and it's loud. Have you been tempted?
What, by Mountjaro?
By Mountjaro, by any of it? By any of
have I been tempted? No, of course. I mean, I'm a human being. Obviously it's like when people go, here, magic drug, solve all problems. Yeah. Oh, but I'm not, like, I think it's a kind of a multifaceted conversation, isn't it? And I don't judge anyone who decides to take it. And I also this is the truth about it, like, I don't really fucking care. I'm not interested. Like, I don't want to hear someone going, I'm like, I don't care how you look. I'm just not interested in it. What I want to know is, like, what do you enjoy doing, But
you're a really interesting combination as a person, because you've, like, you've got that, and that I totally buy that you genuinely don't care. But then there's this other bit of you which is like, is the kind of anxious side.
Yeah, but so I care about, I don't know how it is that I genuinely don't give a shit about the way I look or the way other people look. I don't know
a hard
why.
one, or is it? Well, it wasn't always the case.
I think it's literally only it's like a reaction against my mum, you know, like the only way I've got this.
Sorry, mum.
But the only way I've got this sort of freedom is because I'm like, I'm not going to be like my mum. So it's true. No, or for her, I don't want it. Her generation, they just care that, you know, there's just so much energy they waste on this stuff. And it makes me feel really sad to think about what you could do with that energy. So that, in that respect, I don't worry about that. But yeah, I totally, like my version of the scales, like the number I'm obsessed with is not on a bathroom scales. It's like on my Instagram, how many people have I got following me? And, you know, arguably these are the same fucking things.
Yeah,
right?
It still boils down to people liking you and external validation.
We
it's just different.
Want to belong. So anyway, so going back to your question about
I can't remember what
mountjaro, injecting things into your face, like, and your body. So I'm like, each to their own. I think if I started down that route.
Yeah, your addictive personality might kick in.
Oh my God. Okay, so I did once go and get Botox. I've written about this and it was hilarious because, okay, so this is where it kind of fed. I remember I was like having breakfast with one of my friends. She was like, oh, I'm going to get Botox now. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, you're getting Botox? She's like, everyone gets Botox, Bryony. I was like, well, no one's told me. No one's told.
I didn't get that memo.
No, yeah, I was like, no one's told me. And I was like, but you don't look like you get Botox. Not like I meant that she looked like, you know, old wrinkly, but I was like, I had this idea of what someone got Botox look like. And she was like, well, that's quite judgmental, isn't it, Bryony? And and then we had this long conversation about why she wanted to do it and why. And I was like, oh, there's this party going on that no one's kind of invited me to. Yeah. And I was like, I'm quite curious about the party. So anyway, I was like, I'll go and try this. I just looked. I'm quite an expressive person.
Yeah, I was wishing that I had a camera going when you were talking because you're so animated, like physically, your hands and body moves loads, everything moves, but also your face.
My face moves.
Your face, it moves.
And I was like, I just don't think this is where I want to go with it, really. So I did that once and it wasn't. And I also realised, because I remember... So yeah, the addictive personality thing, that is an interesting point because just before the pandemic, I got, you know, those eyelash extensions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because like everyone was doing it. You know, I'm very much like, oh, everyone's doing that. I was like, oh, that means I don't have to wear mascara. Yeah. So to me, that was like a win. I got them and I thought I looked fucking
I've had them once.
Fantastic. I honestly, Sam, I thought I looked. I was like, God, what a sexy woman you are, Bryony, right?
Imagine going through life with eyelashes like that.
Yeah. And then all I'll say is, thank God the pandemic happened and shut down the beauty shops because I don't obviously...
They start falling out.
So they fell out, right? And I couldn't get them updated.
And then you look really weird, don't you? Because you've got half an row of eyelashes.
Obviously, I just want to say, just in case anyone's like outraged that I just said, thank God the pandemic happened. Obviously, I'm not grateful that the pandemic happened at all. And then about a year later, I looked at pictures of myself at the time and I was like, you look mental, Bryony. You look like you've walked off the set of Towie. Like no kind of offense to people from Towie, but it's not. And I was like, God, I have real blindness. I have like reverse body dysmorphia and that I think I look better than I do.
But it is a sort of dysmorphia, isn't it? And it is created in a way. It's not created because I had body dysmorphia since I was tiny, but it's exacerbated by social media, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I can look like that. Like whether you're a midlife woman thinking, oh, I need to spend 50 quid a month on supplements that will do all these things for me, or eyelash extensions or Botox or mountjaro or head fuck.
I mean, it is honestly sometimes, social media, like what the fuck? Like I have to be so careful with it, you know? And sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm looking at someone going, pardon me, but my wellness routine and all the, like I have to take my creatine and then my collagen and then my and I have to take my Simprove and I'm like, what the, I'm like, well, how does anyone have time to do anything?
Well, also it's the money, isn't it? It's only
It's so expensive.
You just don't even think about it, because I'm down in London this week to do this, and I've got my little Muji pill container like an old person. But by the time, if I don't even count my HRT and my antidepressants, I got all my things, all the little cubby holes were full, and I was like, what are all these things you're taking?
Yeah.
And how much are they costing you?
Exactly. It's like I did my time as a pharmaceutical dustbin in my 20s when I was I would take whatever you like, all the drugs. Most of them are legal. Yeah, I do take a nice, so it's nice. I take omega-3, I take vitamin D, and I do, actually, here we go. Oh, and then I'm like, oh yeah, all this money I'm spending. But I get it. Like, people want to feel good, That's like, people want to feel good. They want to feel better about themselves. I guess what I wanted to do with this book, I was like, I want to sort of explore that thing of maybe you're really fucking great without all of these things. Maybe we don't need these things. Like this kind of pursuit of being better and making everyone happy, and and it was like, maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe you're just fine as you are. Like, maybe it's okay if you're a bit of a cunt from time to time.
This episode of The Shift is sponsored by Shopify. I can clearly remember starting The Shift. It's such a leap, isn't it? Going out there on your own, doing a new thing. I mean, what if it doesn't work? What if nobody listens? What if all the tech comes crashing down around me? Now, over 5 years and over 250 episodes later, I know different, of course. Starting The Shift was the best thing I ever did. And it helps to have a partner like Shopify on your side to help. For a start, they'll help you get the word out, like you have a whole marketing team behind you, with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. Shopify's your commerce expert, with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to shipping, returns, everything. And if you get stuck, their award-winning 24/7 customer support is always around to advise. It's time to turn those what-ifs into... with Shopify today. Sign up for your £1 a month trial today at shopify.co.uk/shift. Go to shopify.co.uk/shift. That's shopify.co.uk/shift. It's the whole striving thing as well. And it does tie in with the good girl. And so I was talking to Paula Bell as we're talking this week's podcast, and we were talking about the productivity trap. And that's the kind of same, isn't it? That you have to be busy and you have to be doing. And the fact that you can be, whether it's like what you're doing this weekend, that slight like flicker of shame, if it's like the answer is nothing.
Yeah, I find that is like, that's always my answer. That.
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing anything. But like, no, I get it though. I get what you mean. And yeah, I love porno. And it's that thing of, always trying to improve, always trying to, And obviously we are all trying our best, but I think that
the undertow of that is that you're not enough, isn't it?
Exactly. So there's this weird thing that it's like therapy has become almost this way to beat yourself up, and that's not what it's really about. Wellness has become another way. So I mean, my social media, my algorithm is like fucked in the best possible way. It's like 70% Bad Bunny, 30% woo-woo, like astrology, So I'm like, that's how I would like my brain to, that's just what I would like my brain to, I've like really perfected that Instagram algorithm for me. And I came across something last night in between my Bad Bunny videos, which was this this person who does like tarot and astrology. She was talking about how we're stuck in this loop of like trying to improve ourselves, trying to get better from our trauma, and move on from it. And it's kind of, it stops you from it. All of it is like fundamentally avoiding the now and the mess, And I do think we are all fundamentally a bit of a fucking mess, and that is okay,
Yeah. I was thinking about this in relation to the whole like reinvention thing, which I feel is like really being targeted at midlife women. Like, you know, it kind of goes along with, it's like, yeah, it is great being on the other side of this. And nobody tells you because nobody wants you to know that actually you'll feel great in your 50s. But there feels to me like there's a real movement of, right, now's the chance to reinvent yourself. And for me, I'm like, we're telling them they need to.
No.
That they're, you know, that you have to reinvent yourself now you're in your 50s or 60s or 40s because just to carry on how you are is not enough.
Yeah.
It just feels like another way of telling women they're not enough.
Another pressure. Yeah. You can look 20 in your 50s or whatever. And it's like, oh, I don't want to.
Or you can retrain or
yeah.
whatever it is.
And it's like, Warwick could just lie down for a bit.
Yeah.
All I really wanted
People used to be allowed to retire.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
All I was talking to someone yesterday and he was like, all I want to do is be able to retire at the age of 57.
Good luck.
I know. I did. I was 37. I was like, how
know.
sweet. What a baby. All I want to do really is get to a place where I can afford to go on a few holidays a year and pootle about in my nice little terraced house in South London. Yeah. I can read books. I don't feel compelled to look at things or consume things because I think that they're going to fill a kind of hole that's essentially in my soul, you know.
How are you going to get there?
Don't know. But I think the point is I don't like, again, it takes away from the present, that idea of like, all we really have is right now, you know.
Yeah.
All we have is right now. That is literally it. While I was writing this book, oh God, like, you know, one of my dearest friends died, and it was like, and I was there when it was just, the whole thing was dreadful and continues to be dreadful. And yeah, he was 43, and I'm like,
had he been ill?
He got diagnosed with cancer in March, and he died in October, and we just don't have any fucking clue what the world is going to throw at us, you know. And I kind of like can't spend my life thinking that my life is going to be great when this happens or that happens or when these people like me. Like I can do it even with this book, Sam. Like there's part of me that is like, if this book does well, then you'll be okay. And I'm like, I'm okay. Yeah. Like I've done this book. I've written this book. Like at some point, Bryony, you're going to have to like stop beating yourself up and just accept that you've done, that's good. You've done well. Like what happens now to it is none of your fucking business, and you're not in fucking control of it, babes. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like
there is a little bit of control in there though, isn't there? For me personally as well, it's like if I can control it, then I can control everything.
Yeah.
If I can just whether it's like controlling other people's reactions to you, it's like, I think there's two things going on. It's the whole people-pleasing good girl. If I can just control that person doesn't make a bad face when I say that, or when they look at me,
be okay.
Or they don't have a fight when I've gone to bed, or not that I was lucky my parents didn't do that. Sorry, Mum. But also, I've lost my thread now, the brain fog. So there's that, but there's also that if I can just reach this, it goes right back to what you were saying about the milestones at the beginning, that you're taught as a little girl about being a good girl, finding a nice man, getting married, getting a nice house, all of that. But then also, if you're one of those people who is seeking validation through their work, it's like, well, I'll get that next job or that next job or that next job, or I'll write the next book.
Work is a big problem. Yeah. Work is a big like way of validating yourself, isn't it? I don't know. Fundamentally, it's all like, I think what happens is, right, over a certain amount of time, you realise that no amount of external validation actually makes a fucking difference if you don't have any self-esteem, you know? Yeah. And I think that's what I've kind of...
But I still haven't got a lot of self-esteem. Have you? How's your self-esteem?
It's like as we said earlier, it's in some ways it's good in terms of like outward appearance about but no, fundamentally I don't really have very much. I don't. I wake up every morning, I mean, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict in recovery, and every morning I wake up and my brain is immediately like, you're awful. Everyone finds you really annoying. Stay in bed. That's a better place for you to be. Don't do any of the things you're supposed to do. And I have to every morning. Sounds exhausting.
It does sound exhausting.
And every morning I have to sort of reprogram that voice, and that's just sort of how my brain is. I have to remind myself that my brain isn't necessarily, I don't know what's right for me necessarily, So no, my self-esteem isn't great, but I'm also okay with that, because I think, again, self-esteem is this idea, this notion that we have to fight towards as women, I don't want to feel awkward. I don't, I wish I didn't feel so less than, but it's like, well, I do, and that's fucking okay. Like, again, I am a bit of a fucking mess, and that is okay.
Yeah.
Because all I'm trying, I feel like my life's work is just going, we're all a bit of a fucking mess. Can we stop trying to be perfectionism? It's a tool of the patriarchy.
All of these things are all connected, aren't they? And they all come, and we're taught them from the moment we pop out female, if you agree that you do. Or as we're told, like, I feel like every woman of my generation, probably your generation, was brought up to, like, don't show off, don't be big-headed, like, don't be annoying, all of those things that you're told as a little person. I don't feel like that's the case for young women now.
No.
But it definitely was the case growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, like, not all of that language.
She's full of herself.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, don't be so full of yourself.
Yeah, go be full of yourself.
Better than you ought. You know better than you ought to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I still battle that. My therapist always says to me that I live in this permanent contract of like trying to make myself not dazzled, not to take up too much space. For me, taking up space it's not that I feel like I'm not enough. It's that sometimes I feel like I'm too much. That's the flip side of it.
Yeah, kind of, you're both.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So and you've got a teenage daughter now. How much has motherhood affected your attitude to yourself in terms of, like, now I've got this girl and I don't want her to, I need to model good woman behavior for her as opposed to good girl behavior?
Well, I think all I want for her is to be her. I don't want to have expectations for my daughter. Like, she doesn't I don't own her. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's trying not to have any expectations. And motherhood is, I think I really enjoy, strangely, having a teenager. I have felt selfishly, it's been quite a kind of healing time for me, because I have conversations with her that perhaps I would have liked someone to have had with me when I was that age. So that's what I feel like. It's really beautiful to be able to have conversations about feelings and bodies and hormones that,
oh God, could you imagine?
Yeah, so that's what I find it. It's messy, but it's kind of like beautiful in that mess. So I don't think I was a great like toddler mum, or I always found playing quite hard, because I guess no one really did it with me as well, and so I was like, what am I doing? But I love having an adolescent, because that's kind of my brain. I'm a bit adolescent still,
I was just thinking when you just said, and I'm not sure you put it exactly like this, but you just said you just want her to be herself. You just want her to be who she is. And I cannot imagine anybody ever having said that to me. Did anybody ever say that? I mean, did you get that? Did you ever feel like that as a teenager, that all you had to do was be yourself, and that would be good enough?
But no, my mum definitely said stuff like that to me. She definitely said stuff like that to me. And she definitely made me believe that I could do whatever I wanted to put my mind to. But what then I saw, so it's well and good what you say to someone, what we hear is what we see, which is how that person treats themselves, isn't it? So my mum definitely said those things, but I also saw this person who didn't really like herself that much. That sort of trickled in. Do you know what I mean? So I think you gotta, we do a lot of talking the talk, this, what advice would you give and all of that. And it's like, you can talk the talk, but you do also at some point have to walk the walk,
Yeah. And has that something that's got more significant to you as your daughter's got older? Or is it about you, not about her, about what you need?
Yeah, I mean, I focus on. I mean, obviously, I care about what my daughter needs, because that's
no, sod her.
That's like my responsibility as a parent. Yeah. But listen, it's that sort of analogy, isn't it, about the airplane mask? You've got the oxygen mask. You've got to put yours on first. So, I, for example.
We're one big Pinterest cushion today as
we
well.
Are,
the other thing about, be the person you wish you'd have, and
yeah. But that's, the reason these things are, popular, quotable memes is because they're true,
Yeah.
I can't, I do have to attend to my own needs. Yeah. I do have to focus on things like sobriety and recovery every day. There's a kind of saying we have within the kind of recovery community is anything you put in front of your sobriety, you will lose, which is quite harsh when you first get in. You're like, fuck off.
Yeah.
But I do think, broadly speaking, it has to be at the basis, because if I pick up a drink or whatever, or my brain goes off, I'm not much use to anyone. I'm about as much use as a chocolate fucking teapot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's been so interesting to kind of watch from outside. Not that I'm snooping around your Instagram the whole time. It's just interesting to watch that whole, even just that journey through your books from, what was the first one? Was the first one The Wrong Knickers?
Yeah. God. Yeah. I couldn't read that book now. I just would cringe. But yes.
I think it was Melissa Phoebos when she came on the podcast. She suggested that people pleasing is actually really manipulative.
Yeah. Ovs. Of course it is. But it's about, again, it's like you said, it's about control.
It's about controlling
other
people.
Trying to control the narrative, trying to control other people. It's it's a safety mechanism that is highly manipulative, and it is a sort of trauma response. We know that there's fight, flight, freeze, fawn.
Yeah, exactly. And fawn is the one most of us use, actually.
Yeah, but we've been told that it's good for us, it's a good thing. So it's highly manipulative, completely disingenuous. I fucking hate it. I hate it. I can now, it's also, I think, that thing of, I can feel it in my body, when I'm doing it and it isn't right, because it's like a cheap, disgusting dopamine hit, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna have to pay for this later, Bryony.
Yeah.
It's a kind of at work or in any kind of situation. I'm like, ew, why are you doing that? It is more and more difficult to do, I think, as you get older.
Yeah, well, I do think there's a hormonal thing in that, that people-pleasing hormone fucks off. But it goes back to that first 40 years of your life trying to be someone who will make other people happy, and the next 40 years of your life trying to be yourself. It does feel, and I've got my fucking brain fog this morning. Do you know what it is?
Don't worry.
I've been in London for 48 hours. It's too many people.
Yeah.
Too many people.
That's fine.
I know what I was going to say. I was going to say that basically you spend the early part of your life learning to ignore the messages your body sends you.
Yeah.
So when burnout, that kind of work, fall over. Don't you actually stop when you're knackered. You don't stop because you're tired, or you keep going until you literally can't go anymore. And then, something happens, and I do think hormones are involved in it, in your 40s, 50s, where the brakes are suddenly thrown on. And you're going, oh, I just did that. I just sucked up to that person who I despise. you know, and I feel good, but I also feel bad. And all of a sudden you're kind of like listening to that.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene that every woman in the world will identify within the book with the, you know, the bloke on the train.
Yeah.
And we won't say who he is or anything because that would be a big spoiler. But, you know, that kind of bloke comes and sits next to you on the train. He's a bit drunk or it's late or actually it's just the middle of the bloody day and you're minding your own business. And they could sit anywhere, but no, they come and sit next to you and then they start talking to you. And we're all trained from a really young age to be, I have to be polite. But really, you just want to, like, I'm just sitting here, I'm just in my own space, I'm going to read my book. Or actually, I just want to stare out the window. But you've got all these mechanisms, like if I wear headphones, they won't talk to me. If I look like I'm reading a book, I won't talk to me. It's like at that point, what was the point in your life when you stopped, like, actually, I'm not going to, like, laugh at the joke I don't think is funny?
I think for me, it's definitely been in the last couple of years. Piss will get off the pot, right? There's that kind of... I think there was a slow dawning realization, and it's definitely been after I got sober, you know, because I realize now why I realize part of why I drank so much was to kind of numb the discomfort of a lot of the kind of systems that I have had to exist in. And I think that is the case for a lot of people and a lot of women, you know. So for me, it was much easier to be pleasing and kind of...
You have to smile in the meeting when someone says the sexist thing.
Yeah, and it was like if I could just get off my tits in the night and forget about it, and you know. So I definitely feel like in the last almost 9 years of getting sober, it sort of slowly dawned on me that people that I thought had my best interests at heart just didn't, you know, and that I had learned to be pleasing to them, and sometimes that had... Sometimes what I wanted had aligned with what they wanted. But when truly it came down to actually what I wanted, and they didn't like it. And I think I was like, oh, I feel a bit fucking stupid now, you know, that I have sort of placed other people's wellness above my own. You know, and I've allowed my nervous system to sort of get shredded in the process. It's been really hard, though. It's a really hard, constant battle of who am I? What is it I do want? You know, I've just had to realize, I think it's just been that slow dawning realization that I have always tried to make other people happy, but actually lots of other people out there don't give a shit about my well-being.
It's that making yourself uncomfortable, either physically or psychologically, in order to make other people comfortable.
Yeah.
Particularly in a work environment, but not only in a work environment.
And I think I have quite a keen sense of injustice and unfair. I don't like things that are unfair. And I'm like, well, hang on a sec. You know, just that, like, hang on a second. I really care about when I make decisions that come to work, like, is that going to impress that person? And I was like, fuck, they genuinely don't care about my well-being.
When do you think you realised that? Can you like think of an instant?
So I think it was definitely in a work situation whereby I got to a stage where I wanted to do something with my career. The place that I worked at didn't really want that. You know, didn't get behind it. But that's on me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't, you know, what I've realised now is that I don't need everyone to like what I'm doing to do it.
Yeah.
You know? And
that's
like that
a big one, isn't it?
And I've often needed to have other people's permission, you know, in order to do it. And actually that is the power. And that is, you know, that's what I'm really fascinated by, people like Bad Bunny, Taylor Swift or whatever, who they go into another level. And it is because when you look at them, they're people who are willing to do things that other people don't like.
Yeah.
And I, as a woman, have not until recently been willing to do things that other people didn't like.
No.
And that is like, oh.
Yeah. It's a tough thing, isn't it, to acknowledge? And that definitely applies. It definitely applies to me as well, that kind of. And even, you know, even now, I can say, it's okay, you're not for everyone. Not everyone is going to like what you do and say, you don't like everyone. That's just how it is. But still, there's a little tiny voice in the back of me go, who doesn't quite buy it?
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, but that's who we've been programmed with. Like, that's the little girl that, so that we mustn't ignore her. Go like, it's okay. It is going to be fine. I have this amazing woman in my life who's like a mentor to me, who's much older and wiser. She's this like, I'm not going to do a like hardcore Manhattan accent now, but she's this kind of New York broad who I love, and I speak to her 3 or 4 times a week. She says to me, and I actually need to get it like tattooed on my wrist or something, but she says to me, I go, well, this thing's happened at work and I'm worried that this and that person's going to do this and then and then I'm going to lose the job. And then she just goes, so what? And I'm like, what do you mean, so what? And she's like, so what? She's like, say that no one does buy your book. What happens? Tell me what happens next, Bryony. And I'm like, well,
you can't sell the next one.
And she's like, and so what? So you'll find something else that you're going to do, and it will be okay. It will be okay, like, just, shall we all take a breath for a moment, So someone's annoyed with you. So what? Like, when I think about and also because when I logically sit down and think about when I'm annoyed with people, I don't go, I'm annoyed with that person, therefore I never want to see them or speak to them again and they are dead to me. Like that, I'm just like, oh, they did an annoying thing, but I don't like cut them off, It's like my bestest friend in the world, I can't even remember what it was. Well, it's like, again, it was her husband who died. And sometimes in those situations, like, you say, like people say silly things and you're worried about, like, I was like worried about upsetting her any more than she was already upset. And she's like, I'm just devastated, Bryony. There's nothing you can say that is going to make it any worse. But she also says, you do know that, like, I love you and that friendship is like, our friendship is strong enough that even if you did say something that was like accidentally, I'm not going it. That like really landed me in my heart. Like what really matters? What's really important? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not all the shit that our nervous systems actually kind of have been taught to get shredded about. What matters is that I have these beautiful friendship with my friend Laura. We spend time like these are the things that matter. We go to Cornwall. It's not like, oh no, I didn't make the Sunday Times bestsellers list, or I didn't, like I don't have 500,000 followers. I've only got 250,000 followers.
Oh God, shame on you. What have you been doing all the time?
LinkedIn is pretty amazing at helping you grow your small business. We cannot make your email response time faster. We can help you sell, market, and hire in one place. We cannot help you find space for your 3 desk drinks. Why do you have 3? And while we can't help you find the perfect volume for your presentation video, LinkedIn can help you find the perfect audience for your business. Grow your small business on LinkedIn. Learn more at linkedin.com/smallbusiness.
There's this weird, like, underlying egotism, isn't there? Which is like, and I can hear myself saying all the things. Actually, do you think it's so little of me that you think that I would ditch you over something like that? Do you think that it's so weak and fragile that you can break it that easily? But also, it's just putting yourself at the center of every story, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, obviously there's that. That was what I was going to say. But I think we do all being sort of like, obviously I wasn't like, this is all about me, or this is all about...
No, I know you're not in that situation.
We do put ourselves at the center of every story because we are the center of every story because we're us.
Yeah.
Someone so that again is something that it's like, I'm not going to make it all about me, but that in itself is a tool that I've often used to make myself smaller. Like I often had when I was a girl, people say to me, it's not all about you, Bryony.
Yeah,
you know,
no one's looking at you.
But it's like, well, it is in my head. Like it is in your head, isn't it? It's all about you. It's
totally,
I know it's not all about me in your head, but yeah, it is all about, I don't know where we got that, but yeah, that thing of like remembering, there is some power, isn't there, in remembering that we don't have that much influence on other people. Yeah, things, you know, if something is that fragile, fuck it, you don't want it anyway, right? And B, we don't have that much influence over other people. And so these people that we're desperately trying to like cheer up and please and whatever, you know, we don't actually have that much power over them.
Yeah, it's so interesting thinking about it and thinking about, when I think about, for instance, at work, there was one, you know, always going the extra mile. And who is that for? So the year, you know, I was thinking like one particular year when, and I know that American listeners are going to go, 5 weeks holiday? You know, and I'll get like some people will message me going, who do you think you are going on about your 5 weeks holiday? But, you know, you're paid to have 5 weeks holiday. And there was one year when I took 2.
Yeah.
For who?
Yeah. Oh, do you know what?
For
I have to
who?
say, I did have an editor that I worked for, and I'm going to credit this man now. His name's Tony Gallagher, and he is.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
He's the editor of the Times now, but I remember he was my editor at the Telegraph, and I remember him saying, "Take your holiday, Bryony." He's like, "Because can I just tell you something? I don't notice that you don't take it."
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh my God, what a great boss. What a great boss. Because nobody notices except your family who are really pissed off with you because you haven't had
exactly.
your
But again, it's
only
that
people
thing.
you really care about.
Exactly. Again, it's that thing. We're like tying ourselves in knots over, you know, worrying about the effect we have on people who just aren't that concerned with us.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't, you know, like going back to my realization of like my work realization in the last few years, that thing of like, this person doesn't actually have my best interests at heart. Of course he doesn't, because he's got his best interests at heart.
Course,
he's doing what he, you know, he's doing what he should be doing.
Yeah, which is putting himself first.
Yeah, and I'm like, why can't I put myself first? You know, this is the logical, healthy way to be. And it's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm like, no. I'm going to put myself first.
So do you feel like you've got there in your life now?
I feel like I'm in a space where I feel like legitimately disgusting discomfort when I'm in people-pleasing mode. And that I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
That's all I can hope for.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm able to listen to my body and, you know, what I do with it then. So it's not that, you know, oh, I don't people please anymore. Like I totally do, but I am able to notice it and bounce back from it a lot quicker than I used to, you know. And I think that's the place to aim for. It's acceptance of the mess we are, isn't it? And like, okay, didn't do so well today. So what?
Go to an AA meeting.
Yeah. So what?
Yeah, I reckon we need merch. Right, questions I always ask at the end.
Oh, yes.
Not as if you haven't answered them before, but what is your emotional age now?
8.5.
8.5.
Because I'm 8.5 years sober. So it will always just be the years I am sober. Well, I guess more, 8.5. Yeah.
8.5. That's interesting. Another answer that people often give, especially people who've had a lot of therapy, either the year they went into therapy or the year it all went off the rails.
I mean, it went off the rails very early on.
So 8.5 is really good. Give us a book recommendation that isn't a gross horror book.
I'm going to have to look at my thing, my Goodreads.
Do you have a list? Yeah.
I just read State of Wonder by Anne Patchett and I loved it.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I literally bought that last week because someone else said that they loved it. And it's quite old, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, do you know why I think it's got a bit, people have rediscovered it, is because that book, The Correspondent, that everyone loves at the moment by Virginia, I can't remember her saying name.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that book. I read it.
She talks about Anne Patchett, doesn't she?
She talks about State of Wonder. The heroine in that is writing letters and she talks about State of Wonder. And I was like, this sounds like a fucking brilliant book. So I immediately went and got that.
Maybe that's what it was.
I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Because I bought it and just put it on the pile.
Oh, it's got
typically,
a bit of everything in it. And I like it's got like that sort of like, sort of Amazon rainforest, the depths creep. It's a bit like, what's going on?
Oh, good. A little bit creepy.
Bit of
like
psychedelics, bit of psychedelics, bit of sort of South American, sort of ayahuasca vibes going on.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to slightly change this next question. What advice would you take from younger women?
Oh, all of it, whatever they've got to tell me. I definitely, I don't have a specific bit, but I would definitely go to young women for advice about dating now and like relationships, because I do think, as you say, they're much savvier and they're much less willing to put up with bullshit. So if I was to re-enter the dating market, I would definitely go to young women for advice because they're just savvier, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that I can't remember who I was talking to about this. The trouble is I have so many conversations, I never know whose words of wisdom I'm stealing. But that kind of, the point where we reach in our lives where we're not going to settle or whatever, it's like a lot of young women seem to reach that point before they even started. It's like, how did you do that and go you?
Yeah, good for them.
Who's your old bird role model?
My old bird role model? Well, it's probably Barbara, my sponsor, who's...
Who's this? So what?
So what?
I thought it might be.
Yeah. I just love all old birds.
Me
Oh, I
too.
love, like, I have to say, who I had on my podcast was Miriam Margolyes.
I've had her on too. She's great, isn't she?
She is definitely, like, the vibes I would like to embrace.
I remember her saying when she came on, we were talking about coming out to her parents and how much it had upset her mum and everything. And she was talking about the privilege of having lived a life without any secrets. I just thought, wow.
Yeah, she's great. Miriam Margolyes.
She's amazing. What's your superpower?
People pleasing. No, I'm joking.
People displeasing.
My superpower is I think I'm funny.
I was like, you think you're funny? No, I'm funny.
I'm funny. My superpower is writing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really good at writing.
You are really good at writing.
Yeah, that's my superpower.
And you're looking so cringe when you said that. It's like, oh God, I've got to say a thing I'm good at, as opposed to list all the things that are wrong with me.
It was more because my brain was scanning all of the things I'm so good at and going, well, which one could I possibly choose? That's why, Sam.
And last one, in the spirit of Olivia Greenwood, who's your lead character in People Pleaser. Did you like how I did that?
Thank you so much.
How many fucks do you give?
None. No, I give quite a few.
So which of those was the people pleaser answer? The one you thought you should give?
I do care. I still give fucks, but there are certain things that I'm not willing to give fucks about anymore, you know? That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
So I like to choose carefully the things that I don't give a fuck about anymore. And then my time accordingly on the things that I do.
How grown up?
Like Bad Bunny
and Taylor Swift.
And Taylor Swift and astrology. It's their world and I'm just living in it, okay? I'm going to make the rules.
What's your star sign?
Cancer.
I thought you were Cancer.
You're
Same
Cancer
as me,
as well,
aren't you? Yeah.
When's your
couple
birthday?
Of days, 7th.
I'm the 5th. Yes. Yeah, I know. I
All
knew
the best
this.
people.
Sensitive, watery souls.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, and this is absolutely not relevant to the conversation, but I remember when I was a kid, like reading like the traits of Cancerians and it being like one thing like they like home.
Yeah.
And me being like, oh my God, that's so boring. That's not me. I must have like a really...
Yeah, why aren't they? Why aren't I Leo?
I've obviously got a really exciting rising sign or something. Now I'm like, I cannot wait to get home.
Yeah, me too.
Literally cannot
Do
wait
you know
to
what?
get home.
I discovered I don't have an exciting rising sign either. It's my rising sign. And
What is your rising
apologies to people whose star sign is this. It's Virgo.
Oh God! So you're like a list maker, a watery list maker.
I'm just like, at home making lists.
I don't know whether this is better or worse. My rising sign is Cancer.
Is it?
So I'm like doubly home loving.
But you find out your rising sign by the time you were born, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to lie, I don't entirely trust, because I said to my mum, what time was I born? And she was like, I think it was like 12 o'clock. I'm not entirely sure.
So it could be wrong.
It could be wrong. So I'm not going, and I know lots of these things do now go off your rising sign, like the Chani app.
Oh, you never know. You could have Leo in rising.
I don't
think so.
I am who I am.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy The Shift and would like to show your appreciation, why not buy me a coffee? Go to www.buymeacoffee.com/The Shift with Sam Baker. You can hear a new episode of The Shift every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, please do rate, review, follow, tell your friends, because it really does help other people find us. And if you'd like to know more about my own experience of shifting, my book, The Shift, How I Lost and Found Myself After 40, and you can too, is out now in paperback.